Okay, so this call is for parents of first-time campers, and some of you may
Listen.
have had other children attend camp before, or maybe you attended camp or worked at camp in the past. And so some of this information you might know. Do we have any alumni in the group? Yep, a couple. There we go. Great. Well, we're so glad to have your kids joining us this summer. And I thought maybe the first thing I could share with you is what you need to do between now and camp in order to prepare. And so, come just join me here, Ben. Yeah. Ben's going to join me on the call here as well. Um, so you probably, after registration and getting all set up, have received a parent handbook, which has given you a lot of information to help prepare for camp, and also have been sent an email with navigation to the parent resources page on our website. If you haven't done that, I encourage you to go to the parent go to the camp website, and right at the top, you should be able to find a page link for, let me just get there, current families. And then you click on the Resource Center tab, and you'll see there's a tab for parents, for campers, for alumni and staff. And when you enter into the section about for parents, you'll find some information about when full payment is due and information about transportation to camp if that's something that you need, as well as a link to the path. And the path is a spot for you to upload all of your forms that you need to get in for camp. And so I've pulled up my path, and I'm just going to share that screen if that's all right for just a moment so you can see what that looks like if you haven't gone there yet. And uh, let's see, hopefully you're seeing the same thing I am. Let's see, Wendy, if you can see a parent portal page, shake your head for me. You're on the top of my list. Okay, great. Thank you. So the path will link you to this page in which you can find a packing list, the portion of the camper health form that can be completed by the parent, the portion of the health form or the area to upload the health form from a physician, the camper confidential information, which is an opportunity for you to share some details about your child with their counselor before they arrive at camp. And that helps us to get to know them and helps the counselor to get to know the kids that will be in their cabin. And there's actually an opportunity for the camper to write a letter to their counselor too, where you get to say, "Hi, I'm Timmy, and I'm coming to camp for the first time, and I'm really excited, but I'm also a little nervous, and my favorite sport is this," and all of these things that you might want to share about yourself. If you're utilizing airport transportation, you can send the information through this portal as well. And additional information about inhalers, EpiPens, if those are things that you need to have with you at camp, as well as how to sign up for horseback riding or scuba while at camp. And then after camp, there's even an opportunity to submit some information about anything that you may have lost or left behind at camp. I can't imagine that will happen with any of you because I'm sure you're all very responsible and you'll take home everything that you brought with you to camp. So that path is a great tool and a great way for you to kind of begin to get all of that information up in our hands and get us prepared for camp. So I'm going to just stop sharing at this point, and then we'll jump back to the full screen. There we go. And so those are the things that are needed to be completed before you arrive at camp. And so I encourage you to get on those. And the first time camper parents, I'll give a quick rundown of how to get to that path again as well. The first time camper parents are usually very good about getting all the information in. It's when it's your fifth or sixth year at camp and you think, I'm sure I've already done that. And it was, but you did. It was just last year. You just kind of forgot that you haven't done it yet for this year. But I know you first time parents will get there. So to find the path, you go to, yep, Beth just put the link in there for us as well. So that's very helpful. So, those are some of the things that you can do as you prepare. And of course, if you find you have questions, feel free to give us a call. There's somebody in the office every day. We're here to help you out. If you need help navigating things or questions about forms, we are certainly very glad to help you out. And most of the time, you'll speak with Corey, our registrar, and she is kind of a master of where all of this information is found. So, once you get all your forms in, then it's about getting your child ready for camp. And for some of you, this may be your first time here, but not your first time in a camp experience. But there might be others that are coming to camp and going to sleep away from home for the very first time. And so, it's always a good idea to kind of warm a child up to that experience. If this is something new, maybe sleep over at grandma and grandpa's house or with a good friend and experience a little sleepover and kind of get yourself ready for that. We always think that's a good way to kind of prepare for the camp experience. And by the way, I know that we'll have on this call campers who are attending the Explorer program, which is a 1 week camp experience. We'll have campers who are coming for 2 weeks of camp, and we might even have some 4 week campers on the call as well. And that's exciting. So, as you get into some of these questions, you may have specific questions about preparing for those different durations of time. So, uh, as we get all the forms in, we make sure that we have all those things organized. And when we find we're still missing some things, we'll reach out and let you know. But the great thing about that path is it helps you to identify all of the things that you need in order to prepare for your time at camp. And then, really, the next thing you need to do is bring us your kids, and preferably on the week that you've signed up for. That would be great. And if they are flying in, we'll have that information, and we'll have be communicating with you about who will be at pickup and all of the details that are involved in that. But if you are bringing your child to camp, we'll have registration happening on the day of your arrival between 1 and 5 here at camp. And there'll be someone to greet you right at the gate as you drive onto the camp property. And they'll hand you a map and a list of directions, tell you where to park, and point you the right way. And if you forget, about 25 feet down the road, there'll be another person that will say the same exact thing to you. We're navigating a lot of people and making sure that we have enough parking spaces for everyone. So we'll get you parked and then direct you to the dining room where we'll go through a full quick registration process. We'll make sure that if you have any medication, bring that with you to the registration process, and you'll be able to speak with one of our medical staff and talk about the administration of that medication, because we'll keep all of that in our medical center, and then we'll be able to dose that out appropriately for your child. And then also, if you have any other special medical concerns, and maybe someone has just got out of a cast and they have to be careful about, injuring an arm or something like that, we are able to discuss those things with our medical team to ensure that they're in the know about those sorts of things to help care for your child. And so we'll go through, as I said, a quick process in our dining room of registration, and then we'll point you directly to our camp directors. Ben Tabone, who's here as the Brookwoods director. Beth Walker is also on the call, and she'll be jumping in and saying hi in just a moment. And they will have the cabin assignment list and be able to help you get to your cabin, connect with the cabin counselors, and begin meeting the campers in that cabin. So this is an exciting process for everyone. And sometimes for first-time campers, it's a little nervous, but we have lots of people that are ready to help you get connected and build some relationships right off the bat, so that you can feel like this is awesome and this is where I want to be. Now, parents, during that registration process, once you get your children into their cabin, I'll host a new parent orientation. And maybe because of this call, you'll feel like you know everything, but might have one or two more questions. That's okay. Come down and join us. We'll give some directions on on how to find those meetings. And I'll do three of them throughout the registration time so that we can connect with new parents and answer some questions about what's going on. So once your campers are in the care of their counselor, and maybe you've made the bed and said, okay, make sure that this laundry basket comes home or laundry bag comes home with dirty clothes in it. That's for the boys. Make sure you change your clothes. And here's everything you need, and you get them all set. Give them hugs and kisses, and then parents, you can step away and come join me for one of those parent orientations, and then you can head out, and we will be ready to take care of your kids during that time. And so the campers will, as the rest of the cabin group comes together and they get to know everyone, once they get the majority of the cabin group there, they will head down to the waterfront and do a swim orientation and swim test with all of their cabin group. And that will help to determine if they might need swim lessons while they're at camp. And if they are able to successfully complete the swim test, then that opens up a series of activities for them on the waterfront that they can sign up for during their time at camp. So it's a great way to kind of jump right into camp and jump right into Lake Winnipesaukee and get comfortable in the water. So after the swim test, they'll go back, get changed, and get cleaned up for dinner. And when we are together for meals, and the dining room is full of our staff and our campers, we have about 450 people in the dining room, and it is a loud and fun and exciting place. And each camper will sit with their cabin group. They'll have two tables per cabin group and a staff member at each table. And it's kind of like family dinner. We want to make sure that conversations are happening, and each camper and staff member, they're checking up on each other and how was your day and how are you feeling? And, really begin building that relationship and connection. And right after dinner, we'll go to our activity sign up for that session. And if you're a 1 week camper, this is a little different, but for 2 week campers or 4 week campers, you sign up for three elective activities each week that you're at camp. And so you get to look at a list of about 50 activity choices, and you'll be able to pick and choose from that activity list. And some activities fill quickly, so we try to get campers in and get them into the right spots so that you have the opportunity to participate in the things that you want to do. Now, if you're a 2 week camper and you don't get into your activity choice number one in your first week, make sure your counselor knows that, and they'll help you to try to get into that activity for the second week that you're at camp. If you're a month-long camper, you have a few more opportunities to get in there as well. And so we have a good system for activity signups, which provides some fair opportunities for all campers to get signed up for activities. If you're in the Explorer Club program, two of your activities generally are elective activities, and then one is set as something that you'll do with your cabin group during that time. And if you need swim lessons, that is one of the activity periods that you would do. Also, if you've pre-signed up for horseback riding, if you're a 2 week or 4 week camper, or scuba, those will be pre-selected activities for you. So that's an exciting part. You get to figure out, what am I going to do during these activities throughout the week? And those activities will meet almost every day of the week, and work on skill development during that time. And then the next week, you get to choose some new activities. After that, we go off to some singing and a get to know you opportunity that we call a rally before kids head off to bed that night. And then after that, we start into the week of camp and all of the things that will be happening on a daily basis. So let's see. I think we might have developed a few questions along the way. When will you communicate who the pickup person will be at the airport? We generally try to do that in the few days just before the pickup, just to ensure that we absolutely are certain that that person is available and is going to be able to do that. So Corey communicates that back and forth to the parents. But if you have questions, certainly give us a call, because we want to make sure that you feel comfortable about your child flying in. And when will we find out about cabin assignments? It is upon arrival. So you'll, after you go through the check-in in the dining room, you'll go to the camp directors who will have those cabin assignments all laid out, and they'll be able to get you to the right cabin with kids that are your age. And if you have requests, we do, you may have already done that on your registration form. You're coming with a friend, and we certainly try to honor that and put you with them. If they're in the same age group, if they're a couple of years apart, that's difficult because we really try to keep our cabins all about one age level as well. And then the only pre-sign up for activities is the horseback riding and scuba. Everything else happens during those activity signups while at camp. And then the last question that someone wrote down was, do the boys and girls eat together in the dining room? Yes, we're feeding both Brookwoods and Deer Run at the same time. And we have sections of the dining room. Junior unit girls are here, junior boys over there, but they are with their cabin group as well. So if you have a sibling who's at camp, that's an opportunity to wave at them and say, hey, I'm okay, and everything's going well at camp, or a friend from church or something like that. So uh, all right. So I think I've got you up to the point of the week of camp starting. Ben, do you
Yeah.
want to jump in and really talk about like a normal day at camp?
Yeah, for sure. That was great. Thanks for everything that you just shared, Tim. Yeah, so to talk a little bit about a daily, schedule. Generally, kids wake up around 7 a.m. There's a brief time of PQT, personal quiet time, that they could just have at their bunk. And then also, we do value taking responsibility for the cabin area. So there's a chores program where the kids can sign up for different areas within their cabin to, keep tabs on our clean, like sweeping the floor, organizing the shoes on the porch, cleaning the bathroom or the sinks, things like that. And there's a weekly rotation of that. So they'll kind of do that as they're getting ready in the morning. And then by 7:40, 7:45, we're up on the backfield for a lineup, which is, a great way to take attendance, make sure everybody's there out of bed. The unit directors, myself, other directors, we greet all the campers, take attendance, and then head into breakfast. Uh, After the meal, and both Brookwoods and Deer Run are at most of the meals. There's a few separate days of the week, meals in which they're, boys on Tuesday are down at the lake having a breakfast cookout. It is what it sounds like. We're right by the lake at what we call Inspiration Point, cooking, eggs and pancakes over open fire. And meanwhile, Deer Run is back up at the dining hall. So there's a few, special occasions like that. But for the majority of the meals, we're in the dining hall together. So not to digress too much, after breakfast, we would all go to our outdoor chapel and sing a couple worship songs, which is a lot of fun. We have, our staff breaks up into different worship teams over the course of the week. And then our camp chaplains, they may, share a verse for the day, or kind of share what the verse of that day's Bible study will be. And then everybody heads off to their cabins for cabin Bible study. This year, one of our session studies will look at Psalms. So kind of looking at the character of God through the Psalms. And then the other study is on John. And so various encounters that Jesus had with people, as described in the book of John. So those are going to be our two studies this summer for the different 2-week sessions. But then after cabin devotions, then we get into activity periods. So in the morning, we'll have two activity blocks, 1 and 2, and then go off to lunch. And then after lunch, everybody gets a rest hour. For the junior unit, they will go to rest hour after lunch, and then to their third activity period. For the senior unit, there's a bit of a flip-flop here. Senior unit after lunch goes to their third activity period, and then they go to their rest hour. And then after those blocks of time, everybody goes down to the lake for what we call free period, open waterfront. And there is some like opportunity to select what kids want to do. In that free period, for Brookwoods, we opened Moose Hall, which has ping pong, carpet ball, foosball. They could also play Gaga on the backfield or tetherball. That's an option. And similarly, Deer Run has that ability to go up to lower lodge during that free period. So if they don't want to swim for the 45, 50-minute block of time for free period, they can go do that. So there's a bit of like autonomy and selection there.
The
Um,
number of things you can do at the waterfront too, right?
for
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I know in the summer I would always want to be in the lake, but I know other kids that they want to just be playing ping pong and pool and you know air hockey is another one. So plenty of options. Some I think also take a nap on the couches. So if it's been a long week and they didn't get ample time during rest hour, definitely seen that. So. But then after free period, we have our evening flag lowering. Again, it's a time to regroup because it's been a busy day, retake attendance, make sure everybody's doing well. And then we head into dinner. And then after the meal, we have our evening program. And so, kind of the variety of evening programs that we could have on any given night would be a cabin night where they would do an activity that their counselors have planned just as a cabin group. So the 12 kids plus their two staff, so 14, just like a small group activity. Or they could also do a unit night where the whole junior unit or the whole senior unit, which is comprised of 5 cabins, and Deer Run has 11 cabins, but junior unit will do like a big game of mat ball, or senior unit, another one's like Thunderball that we play, kind of a version of dodgeball. But we have like a lot of creative games that we do for unit nights, and not totally the same that Deer Run has, but I think you understand the difference between a cabin night and a unit night. And then we also have what we call all camp gatherings that we generally have on a weekend or close to the weekend. I know for Brookwoods, some of our all camp is just all Brookwoods, which is really fun. So there's kind of a variety there. We have some special activities that is all camp, meaning all of Brookwoods, all of Deer Run, which is a lot of fun for our evening program. But once those end, yeah, everybody's kind of heading back, getting ready for bed, roughly around like the 7:45, 8 o'clock time frame, and starting to gear down. Use the shower house. I know for Deer Run, they have their cabins have built-in showers because their cabins are 4 season. We use those year round for our conference groups and retreats. But for Brookwoods, our cabins are 3 seasons, so they're equipped with a toilet, urinal, sink area with cubbies, but then there's like a common shower house. And so, kind of the way it flows is that the junior unit will go in after their evening program and utilize that space, and then once they're done, senior unit will go in, and then after that, they have evening devotions, which is kind of a recap of the day. Not necessarily the same study that they, did during morning devotions, but just something a little bit different to recap, refocus before they head off to bed. So that's kind of a general,
That's good.
Day.
Good. Let's take a few
Oh
questions
yeah,
that
we
we
got
have here too.
some stacking up.
So one of the first questions I think would be, what if you're going to camp with multiple friends and want to do the same activities? So as you go in to activity signups, go with your friends to the tables because you might say, "Oh, I'm going to sign up for archery," but archery is offered every period. You want to make sure that you're signing up for the same activity period with your friends for those things. Now, with 50 different activity choices, you might find that you go, okay, I'm going to do these two with you, and then I'm going to go do this while you go do that. That happens all the time. So travel with your friends into that activity sign up. That will be one way that will really help that process.
One thing can I add
Yeah.
something?
Mhm.
I think obviously communication is really important. If it's easier if they're in the same cabin because they're going to be we send in cabin groups by two
True, true.
into the activity signups. It is a quite an operation because we're signing up the whole camp for all of their 3 activities. It's a lot of kids, a lot of activities. Our program coordinator, she does a fantastic job navigating and managing that and helping kids know what do they want to sign up for and what will that look like. What I was going to say is it's a little easier if they're in the same cabin. If they're not, they should just communicate between the activity sign up rounds because they may not be going up at the same time, but they could at least say, hey, Tim, I signed up for second period archery. And so when I go up, I'm going to also look for that. So just knowing what to expect or being able to communicate that is also a good strategy.
And the sign up location would already have that other camper's information there too, which will be helpful. So,
Yeah.
great. There was a question about how do we communicate with our child while they're at camp. So there's certainly a couple ways. Send them letters. Now we know sometimes that might be a little slower, so you might want to even send one before they leave home, and so that they might have one waiting for them. But to speed it up, we also utilize a program called Bunk One. And Bunk One is a way that you can go in and write an email for your child and it gets delivered. You buy credits. It's a third party company that we've utilized for years to send messages to your child. You can add photos and some of those things. And I always encourage parents when you're writing those letters, certainly tell the kids that you miss them, but also build up the excitement and fun of all the things they're having. Don't tell them the dog misses them because then they'll go, wait a minute, I have to go home. The dog misses me. And make sure that you start asking those questions so that they're ready to come home. They're going to tell you everything that they did while they're at camp. We had two people asking if there'll be snacks available between meals. So probably some hungry campers in this group, but I think that's great. We have a couple of ways we do that. We do have some fruit bowls that are out in a number of locations where you can grab a piece of fruit at certain times of the day. And then our camp store is open for boys and girls every other day. We have an alternating system. You don't need to put any money in the camp store account. You just go and you can, on your day when it's open for you, you go and you pick out two items as well. And then often we're having snacks, scattered in throughout some of our programs as well. So we want to make sure that we have, kids aren't going to bed hungry. And I have two girls that would tell me that every night. Don't send us to bed hungry. So we'll make sure that we take good care of them.
Brookwoods does the camp store Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. Deer Run goes Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays. And then during that free period, as I mentioned, at near Brookwoods, but also at Lower Lodge, we put out a fruit bowl with a lot of apples, oranges, bananas, and goes every day. So eat a lot of fruit.
I failed to mention, so in regards to communicating to your children as well, we don't have it set up where campers receive calls or make calls during their time at camp. We find that if they are feeling a little bit homesick, that actually kind of tends to make it a little worse. Now, sometimes we experience parents who are feeling a little camper sick, missing their child. And it's not uncommon to give us a call in the office and go, hey, can you check on my child really discreetly, so they don't know that I'm checking on them. And we get somebody to sit down next to them in the dining room or at an activity and say, how's it going? What's the best part of the week? How are you feeling about camp? If you haven't heard from us, generally it means that your child's doing really well and adjusting to the camp experience. If they're really struggling, we certainly are connecting with parents to say, okay, here's what we're experiencing. What can you give us that will help your child adjust to camp?
Just adding on to
Yeah.
that. Certainly encourage your kids to write letters home, especially within the first couple days. I think that's a good, just like by Tuesday, they should have some stationery with the opportunity to write a letter home. If they're can't remember their address, we could certainly help them out with that. Or if forgot a stamp or something, not the end of the world, we can help with that. The other means of communication that you would receive, this applies to 2 weekend, 4 week long campers, so not Explore Club. Our counselors write a camper letter home, so kind of a update of who they are, what their whole cabin group did, and then a bit of like a, hey, here's what Tim did in the last week. And so that kind of falls at the middle of their session. So you can anticipate that camper letter, which is also another means of communication. And I'll certainly, at the end, Tim can drop my email in there. And, I'm usually not at my desk all the time in the summer. I'm out on the grounds, but I could easily be reached and then be happy to go check in and, have a phone call So that's no problem at all.
Great. Okay, so there are a couple questions in addition about sunscreen. It's certainly welcome to bring your own sunscreen along, and in some activity areas, we will have some as well. And we'll have the campers apply their own sunscreen, but with for younger campers, some supervision to say you missed a spot. Make sure you get the back of your neck. Some of those things. As a almost clear person, I'm a strong proponent of using sunscreen and would encourage many to do the same. So, and then do campers bring any sports equipment with them? They certainly can. And at the same time, we have all of the recreation equipment that they need. And there are a couple occasions where somebody's like, I'd really love to use my own tennis racket. And we would probably keep it in the tennis shed, for instance. This was the example throughout the week, and make sure that it's got their name on it, and then it's always there when they go to that activity. But they have to remember to pick it up when they go home. So if you're concerned about that part, I'd say tell them to use the camp equipment, and we'll have plenty of that.
One of the other things that kids often bring is fishing rods, fishing
Hmm.
gear. But I highly encourage, like, if they want to do that, bring it with them to and from their cabin and not leave it down at the. We do have a fishing shack where we can lock things up, but then they can't necessarily access it during the free period. So it's best to just kind of bring it back and forth from the cabin.
Perfect.
Um,
Great. So we had a question about hiking gear. And Beth, I don't know if you're able to jump in and maybe talk
Sure.
about trips just a little bit.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Beth Walker. I'm the Girls Camp Director at Deer Run. So, an exciting part of our program and a key part of our mission is that every camper goes on an overnight trip. So, for many of our campers, that involves a hike portion and then an overnight hike, an overnight stay either in the woods up where they're hiking a little bit farther afield or a little bit closer to home. So, depending on your cabin level and your age, our younger campers stay a little bit closer and they will do a day hike nearby camp and then come back to camp. And then we have a wonderful space called Plum Island, and it's an island that we own, and it's a boatable distance from camp around the cove. And it has tent platforms. And here we're really trying to help build up this skill level and this love for camping through something that's a little bit just a little bit more comfortable and closer and kind of scaling that experience for their either comfort level or their just developmental level as well. So that's really wonderful. And then as they get a little bit older, they'll still have a overnight component with most of the hiking during the first day, but they might stay out and pitch a tent and bivouac like in the woods off the trail. Every trip is accompanied by a trained trip leader that goes through wilderness first aid training and extra training throughout staff week and prior years. They are just skilled and advanced in that ability to lead a trip. And then they go along with one of their counselors. So your child will have that person that they've been building a relationship with in the cabin along with another leader. And so in terms of gear, it's really helpful for kids to have hiking boots or just sturdy sneakers. So again, for the younger kiddos, they probably could get by. I'm talking like 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds. They could get by maybe with really good sneakers. As you get older, I would recommend having hiking boots. You don't have to buy the most expensive. It can be a really basic boot, but just something that keeps their ankle and helps it stay a little dry, just as the trails can be muddy and wet. And I would recommend wool socks. Those are like kind of the basics that it'd be, kids hopefully will have a raincoat. But we have a lot of gear in terms of the backpack, day packs, water bottles, all the tent and camping gear. If a kid doesn't have something when they get to camp, we have so many extra things to be able to share. And a lot of times we'll find that some of our cabin mates will share when they're not on a hike with other kiddos if they want another layer or fleece if they forgot something. But it is helpful to have just one item that's probably not cotton, like a fleece that is not necessarily cotton for them to bring with them, and a sleeping bag. But again, if any of these things are missing, we have them, but there's a packing list that's really helpful to have a sleeping bag, a non-cotton layer for sure, a raincoat, and then sturdy sneakers or hiking boots, I would say in terms of gear.
Great. Thanks, Beth.
Yep.
Right, I'm going to bounce through a few more questions. How are food allergies handled? Food is an important question for everyone, I'm sure. And so, if you happen to have a camper who has allergies, we discuss that with our food service staff, and we'll plan meals for your child that meets their particular dietary needs or avoids the things that they are meant to avoid. And so they actually are able to come up to our service window during each meal and they just really just need to say their name, and our staff in the kitchen will know what we're looking at as far as the food, and of course then they'll have that discussion with them. So Eric, our food service director, is very good at handling these kind of things. And we have about 15 staff in our kitchen. So it's a well-equipped group of people to make sure that we're feeding everyone at camp and caring for those who have food allergies. So on registration day, if you want to connect with Eric to talk about any of those things, we can make sure that that happens as well. Next question was about, are they separated by age group? And so Ben had alluded to a junior unit and a senior unit, but then also each cabin group. So within the junior unit, we're talking about 8 to 11-year-olds, sometimes 12-year-olds. And then in the senior unit is sometimes 12-year-olds on up for the rest of camp. And so sometimes in those unit night activities, those different age groups will be doing activities together. And then the cabin groupings often land right around in the same age or perhaps in the same grade on some occasions too. But there might be a week when we have 15 or 20 of one age group, and we have to figure out how do we split that cabin group up into different, to make sure that we're housing everyone appropriately. And then are the Deer Run explorers in the Deer Run Lodge rather than the Deer Run cabin? Yes, so the cabin for explorer for Deer Run is at the end of the Deer Run Lodge if you've been to camp before. And it's right there in that main building. And then all of the other Deer Run cabins are independent buildings.
Mm.
Yep.
I could
Yep.
answer the next
Mhm.
question about attendance. So we also take attendance in every activity. So every activity instructor has a list of the kids that are going to be in their class for that whole week. So activity period one, rockets or tennis, whatever it is, they know which kids are in it, and so they're at the beginning of each activity, like checking and making sure. So we actually take attendance quite frequently throughout the day between those flag lowerings or flag raising, lunch when everybody comes back from their second period activity. One of the things we often stress on the counselors is to continue to count out all your campers, make sure you know where they are. So not only through those flag lowerings, but also, in activities as well.
Yeah, and it's not uncommon on maybe the first day of a session that a camper has changed from an activity that's listed on a paper. And so we commonly hear a counselor going to one of our walkie-talkies around camp and saying, "Hey, I'm missing so and so at volleyball." And our activities director jumping in to say, "Oh, thank you so much for checking. We have reassigned them to archery." So we'll update their list for them by the time they meet again. So, really a constant process of taking attendance throughout the day. Is there a way for new campers, explorers in particular, to connect with friends who will be going their same week beforehand, pen pals or meetups based on the area? That's a great question. I don't know that we've done that before. Beth, are you aware of that happening at all, or?
We have not. We've had scoops, like events where we've been located and encourage campers who are attending to come based on some locations close by. But we haven't partnered people together ahead of time and let them know. It's a great idea. I think when parents call, we typically don't give out other campers information, but to have an event for first-time campers and explorers is a great idea to kind of think about for the future. But we certainly, if someone's brand new and really doesn't know, I encourage you to call or reach out to Ben and I, and we can kind of take a look. And then if we know there's some parents who we have this is a younger sibling, or I feel more than happy to call them on your behalf and ask if they feel comfortable, pairing you up, and so you have another parent you can reach out to for sure.
You could also give Corey a call, and
Yeah.
she could maybe check to see if there are any campers coming from your area,
Towns, yeah.
and she could help make that connection. That would be great. That's a great idea. Another question about bunk one. Do we have a sense of how many parents use it? I would say potentially half camp is signed up for the bunk one program, and or some people will send an email every day.
Mhm.
Some people will share their account with the grandparents, and there's a number of messages going out. And at the same time, I think communicate with your child about that and see what
Yeah.
they're comfortable with as well. And if you say, "What if I sent you a message every other day?" Or,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
think setting expectations around that is great. And because they will have a bunkmate who gets 17 letters every day, and that's what that family's capacity is. And you might not be able to do that every single day. So letting kind of deciding, having an idea of mail for your kid. But I would also say it's really lovely to, if you can, get them a couple letters while they're at camp, because they really do look forward to mail. So I know for me, a very busy mom, like sometimes it's okay to write your letters right now and get parent kids don't figure and make sure they get them ahead of time. But it is sometimes nice to make sure kids are getting some mail. Um,
and we've
but there's a
taken the
follow-up.
pressure off you by removing packages
Yeah.
we don't receive packages for campers unless you have got to camp and realize, oh, I've forgotten the bathing suit. We have that a way to set up so that you could, send that to your child, that Corey would know that that's something that we received. But we eliminated care packages a number of years ago because we were getting a lot of candy into cabins, and also some campers felt left out if they weren't receiving a care package, and we felt like you've provided them with an amazing experience already by signing them up for camp. So uh, save the package for when they get home. That would be great. And a question about the age of counselors. So all of our counselors, well, I should say this way, are generally have completed at least their first year of college. And so we are working with many of these kids who have come through our leadership training programs and gone off and done something else and then returned into a staff position. So we're looking at most of our counselors being 19 and up. Yep.
Yeah, and just to speak on in terms of the question about fishing gear, all activity areas we supply the equipment, so you certainly don't, for any activities, you don't need to show up to camp with anything. We got you covered. Just for some of those folks that like to, use their own items, they certainly can bring it. Um, so, but yeah, you're covered if you don't have that stuff. We have all the fishing supplies and whatnot.
Great. I actually don't know how many folks have signed up for the open house, but it's generally around 50 to 60 people that will come to the open house on May 17. So if you're in the area and want to stop in for a quick tour, we'd be happy to show you around camp. That's a good way for a first-time camper to begin to get acclimated to the camp experience. And we'll even provide lunch for you that day. So the question about the overnight experience, both boys and girls do this program. So all of our cabin groups will do a hike and an overnight. Throughout the course of the summer, we send out over 90 trips from our trip program. And the explorers do an overnight, they do a day hike and an overnight generally on our island, which is just in the next cove around camp. So explorers, get ready for excitement. You're going to be on an island. It's amazing. Yeah. All right. The question about smartwatches and Fitbits and some of those things, I would discourage bringing that. I don't know that you need that at camp, and I would be afraid that might get lost in all of the activity of camp. So we'll keep you on schedule and move you around camp, but I would say you can leave that at home. Uh, Question about space in the Explorer cabin, and how much storage space they have. Beth, you want to address that?
Yeah. It's a great question. We should probably take a picture with like a measurement and put it on the website. But kiddos get one shelving unit and it has kind of three levels that they can place their things on it. So I would say, Ben, you're better with like 3 by 4 by 3, 4 by 4, 3 by 3 feet.
They're like 28 inches wide.
So, a shelving unit and then the half of the bottom bunk under the bunk space, if that makes sense, because their friend on the top bunk would share the other half of. So you can bring a big suitcase and keep that underneath. A lot of times girls, this doesn't need to apply just to girls, but sometimes they'll bring some plastic organizers that they'll put under the bed. So there's a little bit of drawers. And then a lot of times girls will also pack, again, I can speak to the girls because I'm not usually in the Brookwoods cabins, but they'll bring tiny, like smaller plastic bins that they can put socks in or other items. So then the shelves are a little bit more organized. And some people pack the packing cubes. None of this is necessary, but it does keep things contained from like falling off the shelves. Sometimes parents will pack in a Ziploc bag for the younger kids, like a, shorts, top, socks, underwear. So then the outfit of the day is like already prepped. But again, camp can be such a great opportunity for your kiddos to learn to build on these skills that they have of picking their outfit, but to keep things organized. Those are some strategies I have seen. But imagine like a duffel bag worth of things and then a shelf space. That is probably what they can fit.
Perfect. And we don't do laundry for 2 week campers, so you're bringing enough clothes for the 2 weeks. If a camper is here for a month, we do their laundry twice during that time. Yeah. But for the 2 week campers, bring enough for the 2 weeks. And then you'll bring home a big bag for your parents when you're all done camp.
I will mention this just while we're here. Sometimes a child will have an accident or something will come up, and all of that we launder and do that in a really kind of discreet way and get that back on their bed. And similarly, like a really, really bad, mud slip and that's their sweatshirt. We'll take care of that and make sure that they get something clean to wear if that's the
Perfect.
item they have left. Yeah.
And just a note on personal items, it's really helpful to label it. As many items as you come to camp, if you put your name on it, that's great because we do have usually at the end of a session a lot of lost and found, and so it helps us identify who it belongs to. We do run through the lost and found at the end of a session, but it's really helpful when I can lift up a sweatshirt. Tim Nielsen, here it is.
Done it again. Okay. So someone asked a question, if their child is coming without any friends or they're a little shy, will we help them connect and make new friends? Absolutely. This is what we do. And so they will start within that cabin group and build that relationship closely with those kids that they're in cabins with. They'll make some other connections in the activities that they go off to. And it seems like by the end of the session, they know almost everyone in their unit often during that time. So we're very happy to help make those connections. And then the next question was about receiving the emails and letters. Remind me, Ben,
Yeah.
when we deliver those?
Yeah, so we have a system over at our camp store where somebody that manages that space over the summer, that's their job. They also bring any bunk notes or mail from the post office, and then every cabin has like its own little cubby for the mail. And then when the counselors go over there daily after lunch, they would get their respective cabins mail and then hand it out during rest hour at that point in time. So you can kind of anticipate campers getting their mail right after lunch. That's how that system works.
Great. You want to keep going on? Tell us about the swim test.
Yeah, so there's two things that we look for. We have an endurance test, swimming. It's around the perimeter of the swimming area, and then so endurance and then form. And so our waterfront staff are looking for one. Does the individual need to work on their form, whether that's freestyle, or essentially they're just trying to make sure, hey, can I trust this individual to have the endurance, if they're going out in a boat. Obviously, in all types of watercraft, we require campers to wear a PFD, a personal flotation device. But also we have a swim area that's deeper. Sometimes we put a jungle gym out there where they can climb up on an inflatable, jump off of it. And so our waterfront staff, lifeguards, they're looking to make sure that kids they have good form, but also their endurance is up to par. So it happens in that level 3 swim area. There's plenty of lifeguards around it when they're conducting the test. And I just
Yeah.
want to also emphasize if kids do not pass those swim tests, this is great education. We have water safety instructors that are teaching like great swim lessons. And so it's ultimately a great opportunity if they deem like, hey, they should be in the swim test or the swim class. It's a great opportunity to really like just hone in those skills and develop better habits of swimming and form. So it's certainly not like, there should not be any negative connotation to it. At the end of the day, it's really a safety thing, which is, we have over, 250 campers, and then all down at the waterfront. So we want to be very confident in their abilities to swim. So.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that also, to add on to that, in several of our activities, we'll have staff who have certifications in the area that they'll be teaching, so that we are able to teach based on industry standards and following safety precautions in all of those areas with appropriate safety gear and rules and that are applied to that particular activity. So swimming being one of those big areas, when you're located on a 26-mile long lake, we want to make sure that we are utilizing it well and teaching kids how to swim and be safe in the water. So that's great. Beth, you want to jump in and talk about phones a little bit and how we handle that for parents, for staff?
Sure. Um, so our staff are able to have access to their phone during their free period. Every staff has one free period a day, and in after kind of hours that they would have time to be able to go and check their phones. We're really clear during staff week that they are not able to use their phone in the line of sight of campers at any time. So they're not pulling their phone out very frequently. They're not using it to text back or make a phone call. They are sometimes taking a photo if they are on a hike. They will have their cell phones with them. We want a photo of the hike experience to bring back to be able for Corey to share that as she does sometimes on our Facebook group or keep that for our final slideshow at the end of the year. But our counselors are not using their devices in front of campers. And that's something we've been working really hard on because we know just like our kids are getting a break and for them to have maybe some anxiety, honestly, about leaving their phones behind, it's really hard when your counselor then is then using that in front of you. So we talk a lot about that from that kind of joining in on this disconnecting kind of initiative that the counselors actually get to do too. And a lot of them, and one counselor, she opted and she kept her phone in the staff room for the summer, and it was really great. And that was her choice, and it was wonderful. But from the same side of it, we do have phones for those just for communication purposes as leadership staff. So we are not without our phones or without a radio from that safety perspective. And similarly, our counselors do have them in their backpacks, but they're not using them in front of campers. There's kind of designated spaces for that. I hope that answers.
Okay, and there was a question about the packing list. It seems like the packing list on the website says 2023. Pretty certain it's the updated one, but I'll double check that. And certainly in your parent handbook, there's also a packing list as well in there. And it's hard keeping all those dates correct on a
The
website.
handbook is
Oh
definitely
yeah.
up to date. Yeah.
And but that one hasn't changed very much over the years for sure. And it's a question about shower time being organized, and in the Deer Run cabins, there are showers in the cabin, so the counselor's kind of maintaining some order there. And Beth will do an amazing job teaching the girls how to take a quick shower to not use up all the hot water for everyone else in the cabin. And Ben, you mentioned
That's
the
good.
boys' shower house, and that the cabin groups are generally going there as a cabin group, and the counselors kind of outside maintaining some order, making sure that the kids go in, get their shower, get out, and get on back to the cabin. So each shower in there has a little closed off area separate from each other. And a big part of the preparation for the week that Ben will go over is what's good shower etiquette and how do we behave there, and let's not make this a time that we goof around and make other people uncomfortable for sure.
Yeah, so just to be clear, there's 12 shower stalls, separated shower stalls, and each week we assign two counselors that are monitors, and so they have to go in there during, that kind of like what I mentioned, the after the evening activities, to make sure, kids are just going in, doing their thing, and then getting out of there. I do think it's for the younger kids, we also, tell our staff to, I think some kids are just like, hey, I don't really want to go shower. So we encourage them if, just go in their bathing suit if they want, just so they're getting, even though they're going to the lake, hopefully every day, they're washing off with, soap and, shampoo. So if they're, like, hey, I don't really know how to do this, like they can go in their bathing suit and that's totally fine. But usually with the younger groups, it's like, hey, we're going to all go together right after the evening program, just go in and, do our thing. So I find the senior unit, they're much more, self autonomous and can go in and come as they please. So but like I said, we get the junior unit through earlier in the evening and then the senior unit afterwards. There's a shower house monitor, two counselors that are assigned to that weekly. So yeah, it flows pretty smoothly.
Yeah. And a great question about who's supervising the counselor and to what extent. So within our organization, we have about 20 full-time staff who work year-round within our camping organization. So certainly these people are supervising even the next level of supervisors. So we have unit directors over each unit. We have an activities director who's educational professional who's here in the summer. We have a lot of adults within our camping ministry that are training and supervising counselors and coaching them through the whole experience. And there's quite a bit of observation that happens and a reflection on the way they're interacting and how they can do their job better. So personally, I certainly feel like our staff, our college age staff who come to camp, they have an amazing opportunity to grow under the leadership of these people who are giving them careful insights to help them do their job better. So in addition, we have a medical team who's here that in many of our sessions includes a doctor or a PA on staff with us as well, who are supervising health issues and providing insight for us as well. And so, a great number of people involved in that supervision process in order to help those staff grow and deliver a quality experience. So, Beth, you want to talk about bathing suits a little bit? You muted, Beth. Yep.
We really talk about functionality of just all of our outfits and uniforms we wear at camp, just the functionality of wearing clothing that covers your body in terms of if you're horseback riding to wear the right pants and the right shoes to protect your feet. And so similarly down at the waterfront, we talk about just functionality. So for girls, we do require a one-piece suit just because we're so active. We're doing water skiing, they're jumping. There's a blob, which is a really fun thing, jumping off. So girls are one piece, boys are two piece, and of like full length. Boys are one piece, full length, but not a Speedo. So boys, we ask them to not wear Speedos, and we ask girls to wear one pieces. It helps.
Great. Thank you.
Um,
Sarah has asked a great question about training in regards to sex abuse and some of these things. And it's such a hard training to have, but certainly something that we have done very thoroughly and a number of different times. We actually have a 2-week training period for all of our staff. And it is we just were going over all of our details today. It's a very full day from, about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning till 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. We go through a ton of information. So we're utilizing some information in regards to this aspect of training from a number of authoritative sources, our insurance company as well, and taking them through the process. And then actually did an audit this year with our insurance company regarding our policies and procedures in regards to the way that our staff have access to campers and in interaction with them. We have a no one-on-one policy where we don't want a staff member to be one-on-one with a camper in any situation. Staff aren't campers aren't meant to sit on counselors' beds and vice versa. So quite a lot that goes into that. And I know for the kids on the call, this is awkward conversation, but from the parent perspective, I recognize this is something that certainly is a very serious thing. And so having a better than 1 to 3 staff to camper ratio throughout camp is one of the ways that we work to avoid any kind of inappropriate behavior because we're constantly evaluating each other in this process based on the training that's been given and the policies that we have in place. So I'd be happy to talk with this parent more if you have more questions about that, but certainly something that we take very seriously. Um, Easy question about water shoes in the lake. I don't really think you need them, but you might want them on the way down to the lake. Mostly it's a sandy bottom where we're swimming. And if you haven't been to Lake Winnipesaukee before, you're in for a treat. It is a very clean, clear lake that you can, walk out up to your neck and still see your toes. So great thing. And Yep. So I'd be happy to talk to Michael a little bit about the phones. I think we kind of went through all that, but if you find you have any additional questions, give us a call. We'd certainly be able to work through that. But we have disconnected our campers completely from their phones during their time at camp, which we think is certainly a very healthy experience for them. And then our staff have much, much less access and time based on the schedule and the things that they're involved in to be on their phones at all. So we really want people to be present and engaged with the campers. And the experience at the end of the summer, often many staff will just say how healthy and different that felt to not be connected to a screen all day long. So, Ben, how often are boys encouraged to shower?
Daily.
Daily. Oh, that's great.
Every day they should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Um,
Yeah.
and do you talk to campers about uh, what feels like inappropriate behavior by a staff member? Certainly, we do an orientation. Beth will do one with the Deer Run campers, Ben with the Brookwoods campers, where they're able to talk about some of those things. And then we actually do a mid-session evaluation as well, where we're asked campers to give us a little very easy feedback that sometimes leads to follow-up questions directly with the camp director so that they can maybe ask us about some of those things. But did you want to share anything about your orientations that would be helpful or?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of just addressed the whole, camp in terms of what it means to be living in community together. So really, we focus on respecting of yourself, of showing up to places on time, your personal hygiene, brushing your teeth, taking a shower daily, just getting where you need to be on time shows a lot of respect for yourself, respecting of others. So, we do tell the campers, hey, you shouldn't be getting into somebody else's bunk. Sometimes as the day wraps up, they'll gather around the floor. As you walk into our cabins, as you walk in the door, our counselor bunks are the first ones as you walk in the door. So typically they'll gather around there. But I mean, even in our education to our staff, we're telling staff like, hey, if you're having a conversation with a camper, you're not to sit on their bunk, but like kneel next to it. So
We really model. We'll do even like role play for an entire like a afternoon of different scenarios. So the counselors even have to kind of practice that or understand and enter into those experiences. So we really take that seriously. Even, we'll kind of get into the nitty gritty, like little young kids, especially explorers, like a lot of them like that. They're still used to kind of having someone talk to them before they go to bed. And so we just create a bedtime routine that for the younger campers where a counselor can go and like, pray before bed if that's comfortable, or just have a nightly Devo with the whole cabin, and make sure the kids have what they need, like a lovey or a stuffy or a blanket, but the counselors are really aware of just that space. And then likely similarly, the children, the kids, the campers typically have a lot of language, like my bubble, or don't get, we ask them a lot of language that they might know from school and from home. And so we do that in the whole group setting in our orientation, and then make sure they know who to go to if they are feeling uncomfortable, because their counselor is usually the person they'll build the closest relationship with. But if that is who is making them uncomfortable, they understand who to go to on staff if they have a question.
Great.
Yeah.
Just also throwing it out there at Brookwoods, for the junior, they have to walk in groups of 3, and the senior unit walking in groups of 2, to and from things, so there's also that accountability piece there.
Great. All right. So I saw Karen, you've joined us just from Sydney in a different time zone. We have others from Australia on the call as well. So I did record the call, and we're going to post it to that parent portal page so that you can kind of catch up on any of those things. But if anyone has any questions for myself, for Ben or Beth, I've just dropped our emails in the chat as well. Feel free to reach out. We would be glad to answer any questions. Give us a call at camp too. And we realize that each camper's experience could be different. So if you have questions about your child that's specific, we're happy to help out. I'll take this one last call, and certainly I'm happy to stay on, but I realize that some have said, I've got an hour of this. I'm feeling pretty good. But there was one last question about wildlife safety, particularly during hikes. And certainly that's an aspect of the camp experience and the training that goes into our preparation for our staff for those sorts of things. How to properly store your food at night and some of those things. And in most of our situations, we are so noisy, we're scaring away a great deal of the wildlife that's out there in the woods. And the one aspect of wildlife that we certainly are aware of and keep an eye on would be any ticks. And so we do spray within the camp 3 times before the campers arrive, in order to eliminate as many of the ticks as possible in this area. And once we spray, we rarely see them, but you could encounter them on a hike. So we do a little time where you say, time to do a little tick check, and check yourself to make sure you don't have any, and make sure that we keep ourselves safe in that way. So I hope that's helpful. And again, we are happy to make any connections with you, and we can't wait to see you at camp. It definitely feels like we're headed towards summer as it's warming up here in New Hampshire. So
I'm just gonna
thanks so much.
We're sending the emails to everyone.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't send it to everyone. Yep. Okay. Thank you. That's helpful. Yep. Perfect. Well, thanks so much. If you have a question and you want to hang on, I'm happy to take your question, and we'll stay on for just a moment. But have a great night. Thanks for joining us.